What's up, bud? It's Rob. This is Apparel Success, and in this video right here, what I want to do is talk to you about how to price your clothing for your clothing line. Now, this isn't rocket science, but on this channel, I like to go really deep underneath the surface and show you some nuanced ways to think about things, so you can expect to come out of this video with some really clever ways of thinking about pricing your products. This video is gonna be really good for you. Here it is. This video here is sponsored by my friends over at Design Crowd. Design Crowd is a website that helps entrepreneurs crowdsource amazing designs from designers all around the world. For a special $100 VIP offer for Apparel Success viewers only, head over to www.designcrowd.com/apparel to learn more and receive up to $100 when posting a project on Design Crowd, or simply use the discount code APPAREL when posting a project on Design Crowd. All right, so I want to show you some different ways of thinking about pricing so that when it comes to actually pricing your own products for your own clothing line, you have a bunch of different ideas to pull from and you can make the best judgment for your own clothing line, okay? Now, when it comes to pricing, there's this idea known as keystone markups, okay? And this is basically where you take your cost of goods sold, which, if you make a t-shirt for $5, after, the blank t-shirt, you actually print on it and you have to pay for the neck labels. If the total cost is $5, a keystone markup is where you times 2 that to wholesale it. So you'd wholesale it for $10 and then it would be retailed for $20, okay? And this is basically just an idea that was put in place to make it easier in pricing and to make it more simple when thinking about pricing. If you're thinking about wholesaling your clothing to retailers, this is a really good way of thinking about it and structuring it from the very beginning, right? So if you made a t-shirt for $8, you'd wholesale it for $16 and it would sell in retail for $32. It's just a really simple way of thinking about it, and I want you to take that with you if you ever think about wholesaling your products for retail. Now, the number one thing that you want to do here as a clothing brand owner before you even begin to price your own products is accumulate as much competitor pricing data as possible. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying get out and research your fucking competitors, all right? Make sure you know how much, a t-shirt's selling if you're in, the gym wear industry, or if you're in the lifestyle brand industry, or just check out other clothing brands that are selling stuff similar to yours in the same location and see what the market is like in terms of pricing and how much things are selling for, okay? Because that way you can actually approach how you're going to enter the market in terms of a pricing strategy and how your brand is going to be perceived compared to other brands that are in the similar industry. All right, so one thing that I want to point out here is that whenever I say competitor, I don't actually mean that they're competing with your brand, okay? That is a terrible way to think about it. Look at Nike, look at Reebok, look at Under Armour. These are all big brands that are coexisting and all thriving simultaneously, okay? So you can have, a number one competitor doing something very similar to you, doing something very similar to you in your industry, but that doesn't mean that you guys both can't coexist and actually do collaborations and grow together, okay? There's no reason why you need to be knocking out your competitor or thinking about it in that way. So when I say look at your competitor's pricing, all I'm saying is look at where you fit in to the market and how much people are buying from you, and you don't want to think about it in terms of that competition, okay? Because it's not really a competition. You guys can both thrive simultaneously. So a key rule here is that when you're looking at your competitor pricing data, whether you decide to go below, above, or at the same level of your competition, you want to have good reason for why you are deciding to do that, okay? So if your competitors are pricing their t-shirts at $30 and you decide to price your t-shirts at $25, you want to have good reason for why exactly you are doing that. If your product's quality isn't quite the same as your competitors, it's not quite there yet, that makes sense to price your products at $25 and not $30. If you just want to try and make more sales and undercut the market a bit so that you can get the ball rolling, that's another good reason. But no matter what you do, you want to have good reason for why you are deciding to price your products the way that you are. Just be aware that the lower you price your products, the lower perceived value those products will have in terms of quality, okay? And at the same time, the higher you price your products, the higher perceived value that product will have in terms of quality, okay? Now, this can be really good and it can be really bad depending on what you decide to do, okay? Because if you price your t-shirt at, say, $40 when the rest of your competitors are pricing their t-shirts at $30, and you know your quality is the same as theirs at $30, that's when people are gonna get pissed and start asking for refunds, and you don't want that, okay? But at the same time, when you price your products really high, it creates what's called the halo effect, okay? Which actually makes your products look like they have much higher quality than other products out there, like when Gucci prices their t-shirts at $500 compared to the average t-shirt at $25. It makes the t-shirt look like there's something special to it. The last thing that I want to say here is that you don't need to do anything different from your competitors in terms of pricing, okay? The clothing brand industry is really where you're allowed to create something completely unique, and just because your prices are the same doesn't mean that, you know, everybody will flock to your competitors, right? If you're doing something unique and that's what your audience wants, they'll still buy from you, and you don't necessarily need to undercut or go above your competitors. You can do exactly what fits into the market and still work really, really well in terms of sales and selling. I hope you liked this video, and if your clothing brand is currently struggling to make sales right now and you want me to look at your clothing brand and offer you feedback and suggestions on how you can improve and bring your clothing brand to the next level, you can sign up for a clothing brand review at www.apparelsuccess.com. I look forward to checking out your brand. Otherwise, if you've made it to this point in the video, I want to tell you about the closed Facebook group that we have going on for Apparel Success. There's a link in the description below. Follow that link, join us in the Facebook group. We're a bunch of clothing brand owners all in there to support each other and answer each other's questions. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.